Now, before 9/11, it was easy to get on a plane. You just walked on it. And that was easy and that was convenient. But of course, terrorism and the awful events of 9/11 changed our world, including how we fly. And I doubt there's a single American who would say we should go back to the days of 9/11. We have to have both security and convenience. We need both. And sometimes the two conflict. And it has been a long work in progress to make sure that there's a balance. One that I have to say the TSA has worked at hard over the years that they've been in existence. But they haven't reached the right balance yet. What happened in the last few weeks shows just that. We need to find the right balance between security and protecting vulnerable passengers and convenience. And sometimes if that takes a little extra effort and a little extra thought, it's what should be done. So we're here today because unfortunately the balance has failed to be struck, particularly when it comes to some of our most vulnerable passengers, in recent cases, our senior citizens. Instead of being a pleasant, if sometimes frustrating experience for these passengers, flying became a degrading experience. That should be avoided at all costs. And adding insult to injury, when this degrading experience unfolded, there was no one at the airport to advocate on their behalf. And I think every one of us has experienced this. Again, I think most of our TSA people try to do a very good job. But we've all seen that there are instances when they may be a little too inflexible, set in their ways, call it what you will. So, today we're hoping to change all of that. Today, we are calling on the TSA to give a voice to those who feel they may be inappropriately treated or subject to overly onerous screening by designating an on-site passenger advocate at every airport who can immediately come to the place of the screening, who has the training, and who makes a judgment as to what is appropriate. It's not expensive, it's not hard, it's taking a handful of the TSA agents at the airport and giving them the necessary training and knowledge. And then we can avoid experiences like what occurred to Mrs. Zimmerman and Mrs. Schumer. We think in that simple way, we can solve the problem that occurred and should never have occurred to Mrs. Zimmerman, Mrs. Sherman, and I'm sure there are many, many others in their situations who just didn't bother to complain because they were afraid to, because they thought it might be embarrassing for them to complain, and we're glad that these two women spoke out because it'll make things better for all the others.
On November 28th and November 29th, 3 senior citizens, including my 88-year-old mother, were strip searched at JetBlue's Terminal 5 by 2 female TSA agents. These law-abiding U.S. citizens, they never met each other, they never spoke to each other. The 3 of them were humiliated, degraded, and in my opinion, their civil rights were violated. Now they're being violated once again by the TSA, whose policy seems to be lie and deny. They've basically called these 3 women liars. They have not done any investigation. I don't believe they are capable of investigating themselves. I agree with the Congressman that there should be an independent agency or watch group to handle this. The head of the TSA union came out and basically called my mother a liar, that the strip search never happened, nor did my mother ever tell them that she had a colostomy bag. He claims on television that he has a tape proving this, so I challenge him to bring forth this tape. My mother is willing to take an independent lie detector test. I challenge the 2 TSA female agents to do the same. It seems that it's a coincidence that all 3 women were at the JetBlue Terminal 5, taking basically the same flight within 24 hours. And I'm wondering if it's the same TSA agents that perpetrated this humiliation and degrading experience on all three women.
I went to Kennedy Airport to drop my mother off for her flight to Fort Lauderdale in Florida. And I went to the JetBlue terminal, checked her bag, and a nice lady came with a wheelchair. I put her lightweight walker on her lap. I said goodbye, and I felt she was in good hands. We parted ways. I didn't hear back from her until 9:30, where she called me and told me a devastating story that she was strip searched. My mother is not a kind of person that it wouldn't even occur to her to fabricate such a tale or to give me such a devastating message, knowing what it would do to me. So for the TSA to come out and to just make a sweeping denial of it just added a little insult to injury. And I want to thank the press for also putting this out there and getting the word out that this happened. And my major goal is to not let this happen to your mother or grandmother or my mother again.
Adopting a more Israeli-style system of having security experts looking for terrorists rather than having people at the gate looking for weapons.
The best way to do this would be to know everybody who walked on the plane ahead of time and have them thoroughly known and checked. And that way you don't have to do as invasive searches as they do, even the ones, where you just go through those spray detector, whatever they're, the new detectors where you put up your hands and they look at a picture of you. It takes a while to get to that, and we probably need to do more of that. I don't think we'll ever be able to drop the idea of no one bringing metal on a plane, that's for sure. It's just got to be done in a better way.
The Israeli strip search grandmothers, sir.
I don't believe they do, and I don't think we should do that here either.
If the TSA does not do this, are you going to take any steps to ensure that it's
Yes, if the
What sort of
TSA,
steps?
look, the TSA said they were setting up this 1-800 hotline, which is at least an acknowledgement that something isn't right. It's the wrong solution, we believe, but at least they acknowledge something isn't right. If they've refused to go forward with this, we would first ask them what's their alternative, and if they didn't have an alternative, we'd consider legislating and requiring it be done. If they're so resistant to it, it may well be that it shouldn't be a TSA person who's the passenger advocate. But as I said, that's not the ideal situation.
Could there be a possible conflict of interest of having this advocate be a TSA person?
I don't think so. I mean, I am not looking at the TSA as an adversary or as an agency that's out to get or hurt people. But like any other agency, they're hardly perfect, and we're trying to make them better here. This would make them better. If this doesn't work, maybe you'd have to set up a new bureaucracy or something like that, but I hope that wouldn't happen. I don't believe that's necessary.
Passenger advocate, more maybe like profiling of what El Al is doing already in Terminal 4?
Well, the passenger advocate would have more ideas of general profiles, yes.
Okay.
And El Al, look, I go through El Al. They do a pretty strong search, too.
Is that something maybe we should copy?
Yes,
I mean,
look, the Israeli system is a very good system, but I don't think you can just rely on previous information. You have to block any metal from going on a plane.
got off the JetBlue plane into JFK?
Yes.
Okay, and what's your opinion? How do you feel with the strip searching that's going on?
I feel okay with it. I feel safer by having it done
If you are claiming any
than not having
oversized
it.
By TSA agents?
transportation from anyone
Yeah.
without prior
Every
arrangement,
time I've
an
been,
unknown driver may
because
not
I
be
have
licensed, have insurance,
a rod
or may
in my leg
overcharge
and
you
I
now
have
or at the end of
braces.
your ride. For ground transportation
I've had surgery on
information
both
and reservations,
knees,
go
so
to
I
the
have
Welcome
to be
Center,
strip
located
searched
in
every
the
time.
baggage claim area.
And
For
I've
taxis,
never had any
receipts,
problems.
What are your thoughts of the TSA strip searching older women in wheelchairs?
I think it's outrageous. I mean, these are older people, and you have to respect them in some way. I mean, even if you misunderstood what they meant when she said, okay, she need a pat down. I mean, you should have clarified. It's outrageous. I think there's no excuses for pedophiles or things like that, and they get this sick satisfaction for doing it. So they actually get these employment that satisfy their whatever their demons. That was outrageous. I'm sorry, it is. I would hate for that to happen to my mom or my grandmother. No excuses.